How's it going, everyone? And welcome to another episode of the podcast right here at Celestia Radio. It's your host, Matthias, as is normal. You know my voice, and it is the co-hosts, Dalit and Nat, also as is normal. Say hey, gents. How y'all doing?
Hey, gents.
How y'all doing?
All right, I'll take it.
He said, hey, he said, say hey, gents, and I did. That's the joke.
You nailed it.
Yeah,
I think that's, that's the best anyone's ever followed instructions from me for. Like, I wish my students. I wish my students listened to me that well. That'd be great.
Big ask.
So we have a topic in mind tonight, and there's this particular genre of video games that there's actually been a lot of in the last year-ish, and coming out, there's been a lot. Like, I don't know what the sudden boom is. They've been around for a while. They've been popular for a long while. I just suddenly everybody's putting one out.
Oh, and what genre is that?
That is the, like, survival crafting genre. I don't know, like, the specific name for it, if there is one. But, you know, you're
just survival craft, something like that. But yeah, you're more or less right.
Yeah, like, you know, it's your Minecrafts, your Terrarias,
your Power
those
World.
kind of things. Yeah. There's been a huge variation of them, right? I mean, you've got something from like Minecraft to like Power World to, you know, the side scrollery Terraria to the more farm-esque Stardew Valley, because that's kind of in there as well.
Ark Survival
Evolved. That recently just got a new version that was being made in the new Unreal Engine that came out.
Oh,
looks crazy good.
It looks crazy good. It is every bit as buggy as the original was when it first came out.
Nice.
Staying true to form.
Let's go.
Yeah, so, you know, if they continue to stay true to form in about a year and a half, that will be absolutely incredible game. But like we wanted to talk about this topic partially because of some relevance. This past week was the second closed alpha test for one such game called Pax Dei. I and a couple friends got into it, though one of my friends here was not able to play, unfortunately.
I'm technically in it. I just can't fucking download the update for some reason, because every time I do, it crashes my PC. Don't know why, don't ask me. Yeah.
So there were two of us that got to play, and I only have played once, to be fair, in the entire closed alpha period.
Oh,
and
really?
I have only played the one time.
Okay.
It's been a little bit of a like up and down week for me, so not as much time to sit and play it as I thought I would have had.
Right.
But I am very glad for PAX Day specifically that they are saying this is an alpha, because if they told me this was a beta and given it to me, I'd been a lot more harsh in what I would have to say about it. But being an alpha, I'm like, okay, that's fine. They're still working on stuff.
Oh yeah, like they're still working on it.
That said, alpha or not, you should be hypercritical, even if it's something you know they'll change, just in case.
Oh yeah.
No,
I'm gonna be
completely
critical,
right, Dollar, because they need feedback to do the changes and all that. Like, you're absolutely correct, but like it's also kind of like, you know, you're still in under development,
right? Of course.
Yeah.
So to be more specific in what I meant is, I'm going to be hypercritical on it, but my opinion will be reserved because, like, it's an alpha. They can still improve it by leaps and bounds. Right. But, you know, I have a lot of critiques in the, like, 4 or 5 hours I got to play it. So I knew to some extent what this game was going into it. I remember watching, I want to say it was at Summer Game Fest last year.
I believe so.
Yeah, I remember seeing it and signing up for the first alpha. Didn't get in, but I did get into the second one. And I was like, okay, survival craft game, uh, build castles, fantasy-esque. Okay. That sounds pretty cool. Like, I mean, we've talked about it on cast before because I'm very excited for Light No Fire, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
so I was like, okay, this could be interesting, and I was excited to get into Pax Day. So, downloaded the alpha, got the update, jumped in. Right off the bat, character creation a little basic, but also not bad. Like there's a good, you know, a good character creation for as basic as it is. It's nice.
Is it possible to
Right.
compare it to anything?
I haven't played anything recent with a character creator, so
Sure.
like it's actually surprising to me saying that out loud. I haven't played anything with a character creator recently.
Man needs to get into the Monster Hunter world.
Yeah, but it's think like you're kind of old school like Korean MMO character creators.
Mhm.
That is not fucking Lost Ark.
Then
No, not Lost Ark. What's the other one I'm thinking of?
Black
The one
Desert,
with
but
really-
Black
Black
Desert is
Desert, yes, thank you.
insane.
Yeah.
So
Thank you. Yeah,
yeah. It's not Black Desert. That's fair. But the older ones, how
Right.
those were fairly simple in what you could do.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, but a little bit newer, I guess. So I made myself, you know, as I always do. I basically made myself. Threw me into the world,
Mhm.
and like what was interesting is, well, one, like the map is massive, and it's like, okay, um, I don't know if this is the full map that they're planning to release with, if this is just all they've done for the alpha. I don't know how it compares to the first alpha. No idea on any of that, right?
Right.
But what they have here is a pretty good size map. And basically, when you make your character, first off, it let me select between EU or NA. Chose NA.
okay, that's good.
And then I selected a server on the NA server, and then it was like pick one of the like quadrants of the map, which each of like the map is broken up into different squared quadrants that are named. And it's like pick one where you start. And I just, you know, I looked at the map and I said, okay, that one's got some like water sources, like several.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's probably pretty nice to be near, so I'll pick that.
Good head on your shoulders.
So I went for this one. So I went to that one, and then it just drops you in. And it really does just drop you in. There is no tutorial of any kind.
There's no
It's
like,
like, okay.
tutorial town that you'd like work up in. Shit
Yeah,
like
nothing. I mean, I literally spawned on top of a cliff. If I accidentally pressed forward, I would have fallen off a cliff.
that.
Amazing.
I was just like, okay. And it was a beautiful view, don't get me wrong. Like the game looks very pretty. And I was just like, okay. So I kind of moved around, and I was like, all right, picked up the controls pretty easy. There was one thing in the corner that you said if you press this, it'll show you the key commands. And I pressed that, so I had the key commands on the side of the screen. So I knew what I was doing, but my first critique comes in that, like, there's one of two ways I've seen this survival craft open a game, right?
Mhm.
Is either it gives you a very like guided tutorial-esque how everything goes, basically, you know, pick up sticks, pick up rocks, do this, build this. It gives you
Yep.
little objectives to kind of show you the way to go, right? And help you get the feel for what the
Like
progression
Power.
and things will be like. What is that?
Like Power World, because that's what they
Yeah,
do.
like Power World. Yeah, like Power World gave you the little objectives. The
Mhm.
other is it's more or less very straightforward. Like you basically like, all right, pick up rock, you know, pick up sticks, make stone tool,
Mhm.
break this, mine this, so you can make iron this, etc. and so forth.
Hand holding.
Yeah, I mean, not even hand holding as much as it's just intuitive because it's what you would think the next like logical step is in like progressing that kind of thing.
Right.
Especially if you know anything about like history, or so to speak. You go, from Stone Age to Bronze Age, etc., and so forth, kind of thing.
Yep.
So you kind of, self-explanatory. So I feel like they were definitely going for the latter in this opening, how the game presents itself opening up. But the problem with that is it isn't quite so self-explanatory, I suppose.
Right.
How do you mean?
Forthwith.
So it's like in another game, you pick up some stone, you pick up some wood, you make a stone tool.
Right.
Then you use the stone tool to get
Iron or
iron
whatever.
to make iron or whatever.
Yeah.
So off the bat, you get the stone, you get the wood, and then you need to make a what's the word, perimeter. You need to make you need to mark a territory as your own.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Oh.
And then within that territory
Wouldn't
is
have
where
expected that.
Yeah, then you set down a campfire, wood cutting log, and like a workbench.
Right.
The wood cutting log, you basically get some wood, then you make the wood cutting log, you set it down, get some stone and wood, you make the campfire, you set it down. Campfire is there to cook. Wood cutting log is you take wood to make like wood pieces. So like planks,
Yeah.
like just building pieces of wood from like what are they called? Like support pillar kind of things.
Right.
Like those kind of things. And then you use those pieces to make other stuff. But it's whenever you like first pick up anything you can basically make with that, you unlock all of those recipes. Some of those recipes may not always be the very next thing you need to make. So you kind of have to figure out which to go for. Now, they do try and show you in that the game uses a very RPG-esque system of the more you chop trees, mine something, whatever, you level up in that skill. Level up in wood cutting, level up in mining.
Okay.
I want to be a miner.
The more you
Not
make,
that way.
the more things you make with wood, you're better at woodworking. The more metal things, smithing, the tailoring, leatherworking, etc., and so forth. Which that system is very, very cool. And so that's kind of how they try to guide you. In that it is it says this recipe is easy because it's your level 1 in wood cutting, so to speak, right? And this is considered a like level 3 recipe. So you can do it. You have a chance of failing, but you can do it. Mm-hmm. And then if it's like a level 2 recipe, you have a chance of failing, but you can do it much easier. And then if it is a level 1 recipe, you can still fail, though it's very unlikely.
Oh, it's not exactly 100%, is it? I fucking hate that.
It's like I'd say 90-95%. I think in all the times I did things that I was at the level of, or over the level of even, I failed maybe twice out of all the times I made things. So it's very uncommon, but it is possible.
But here's the thing, Matt. There's a potential you may pull a burst weapon, and you understand what I mean when I say that.
Well, yes, I understand what you mean when you say that, but I also know I'm one of the people with the worst luck there is.
Okay.
Yeah, and I only failed like twice, so it's super, super uncommon. But so you have this like level system, and so like first off, it was like, okay, I need to build this, and so I built this, and so like my first thought is I made like a hatchet so I could chop down trees, because I'm like, all right, obviously that's what I should be doing, right? But I was like, okay, I don't have any kind of pickaxe to mine stone with, so I'm like, okay, well maybe I need to make the workbench, and so I was like, well, I need these things to make the workbench. I'm like, well, how do I get these like oddly specific wooden things? Because I saw the like wood cutting thing there, but I didn't consider initially like that was what I should build first. That was, how you make these more intricate wooden pieces is a wood cutting, like it's literally like just a stump that you would like set the log on and chop it. So
Oh,
like
right, gotcha.
so I'm just like, okay, that's not what I'm thinking I need. I'm thinking like to make more intricate wood pieces, wouldn't I need the workbench to so I like ran around for a bit, poked around, and then I was like, all right, well, I guess let me make this because it's the only thing I can make right now.
So it's
I made
less
that.
intuitive and more
Holy shit.
explorational.
It's more
Explorational in terms of
explorational,
how to do it.
yeah,
Yeah.
kind of experimental. And so made that, and then it was like, okay, now I have this, I have the pieces, made the workbench. Workbench, when you build it, ton of recipes. It's like, okay, which one of these do I go to next? Because you was like get basic tailoring tools, basic leatherworking tools,
Right.
basic smithing tools, stone anvil, uh, pickaxe, and it
God,
was
I
like,
want to be a smith.
okay, I guess I want to make the pickaxe next. So I made the pickaxe. I'm like, cool, I have a pickaxe. What do I do with it? Because I ran up to a rock and I couldn't use it on the rock. I
What the
ran up to the
fuck?
side. I ran up to the side of a mountain, and I like there was nothing to use it on the side of the mountain, and I was just kind of like, okay.
Was there like not deposits or anything like that?
I couldn't find any. Now, so I couldn't figure out where to use this pickaxe. Right? I figured out the woodcutter axe, the hatchet, pretty easily, pretty straightforward. I figured out how
Pine
to make
tree,
like a
hit
wood.
tree?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But you have to go. But with the stone little one you make, you have to go for the smaller trees. You can't go for any of the bigger trees.
Makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
So, I made like a wooden spear, like basically just a big sharpened stick, and then I like a wooden little shield, and I was able to like pseudo like hunt deer and
You can
fight
maim animals.
fight some boars. Almost got maimed by a pack of wolves
Fun.
because wolves definitely travel in packs.
Yeah.
Boars travel in packs too, apparently, but of two,
Yeah.
minimal. So still very rough. So yeah, it was very much kind of learning as I go. And so I slowly kind of chipped away at making what I could of things, like whether it was the basic leatherworking or basic tailoring tool things. But I kept coming into needing something, and I'm like, well, where do I get this something? Because it's not in the list of stuff I already have. So I started trying to make things that I could make to see if that unlocked it. And a lot of this time it wasn't. And I'm like, okay, well, do I have to find this material in the world? For instance, one of the materials I needed was flint. And then another material I needed was clay. I had
Yeah.
a hard time finding these.
Travel and water.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm
Yep.
like, I'm right at the water's edge. Maybe there's like clay if I go down into the water. Don't go into the water. You die. Because it uses up
Oh.
you use up your stamina,
What?
and then if you're not like if it's not like a perfectly like smooth into the water edge, you can't get back out. So then you just start losing health.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's if you're gonna go into water, make sure you're right there like at a beach, so that you can just come right back out. Otherwise, you're gonna get stuck and you're probably gonna die. Which I'm like, okay.
Oh.
But in the water also there wasn't really anything to do as it were. So it's like, okay. So there's not clay. What do I do?
Question,
Go ahead.
which you may hopefully answer. Is there like caves in the game?
I never found a cave.
Okay.
I did a decent little bit of exploring, but it was a fairly large map, and I still never left the quadrant I spawned in.
Right.
Which there are some other issues with that, and some of the reasons I was having issues as I go forward with my story, I will explain. But one of the issues I was coming up as I was trying to find clay, trying to find flint, trying to figure out what to do next, because I had set my little quadrant down. And the problem I was having is because, in these games, especially early on, you just kind of pick up, whatever you find because you don't know what you're going to need, what you're going to use. My inventory was getting rather full. And I was like, okay, well, I need to make storage. But I had no way of making storage. Well. And I'm like, what am I missing? And I was trying to figure out how to make storage. And I was trying to find the storage, like in the list. And what I found that I thought was storage was like I was missing something. And I'm like, well, where do I find this to make it? And I was trying to figure it out. Well, that's when, my other friend that got in came in and he started playing with me.
Mm-hmm.
He was able to find the storage and get the storage sorted. It was like at the bottom of the list of things, even though it wasn't that like high of a level thing. For some reason, it was just like way down on the list. So as I'm working down this list trying to find storage, it was just at the bottom, and I just never went all the way to the bottom because as you went down the list, it was higher level things. So I'm like, all right, well, I can't make anything that far down. Why go down there? For some reason, it was down.
Does the list have like a sorting setting in it?
I don't know. I didn't look, to be honest.
Okay.
Because by
of the person you were playing with, they give you any thoughts on it? Because they were the one person I knew who was actually excited for this game, and they kept comparing it to another game that they played. So I'd be interested to know where their head was at as well.
I haven't got to sit down and chat with them after our time playing.
Pity.
Before this. I am going to sit down and chat with them at some point about it for sure, especially because they have been able to put in a bit more time than me now. So maybe it smooths out further in, because I definitely never really made it past those early beginner stages, right?
Right.
But yeah, for some reason that the storage was just further down on the list than I went, because the default way the list was sorted was like lower level stuff at the top, higher level stuff at the bottom. So I'm like, well, I can't even make the higher level stuff because if it's so many levels above you, it's just listed as impossible. You can't make it. So you won't even let you try.
Right. Makes sense.
Right. But for some reason, like storage chests were like in the middle of those things towards the bottom, and I just didn't go that far. I guess it's on me for not just looking at the entire list, but there were other things earlier up that were also listed as storage, like small containers, like baskets and things like that. So I was trying to figure out how to make those. But yeah, if you go down, there's actually like storage chests. So that kind of sorted our storage problem. So we got that sorted. And then we were back to the same issue of we needed clay, we needed flint. And we still hadn't found anything to use our pickaxes on. Like, what do we use these for? So he's like, all right, I'm going to go just explore and see what I can find. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go eat dinner. I'll come back, see maybe if you found something. So he went exploring. I went to eat. I came back and he was like, okay, well, I found what to use our pickaxes for. And I'm like, okay, cool. What is it? He's like, there's like deposits. They basically just like big round rocks and you can mine those. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So you found some. He's like, well, I saw one. I didn't get to mine it. And I'm like, okay, why? He's like, well, somebody beat me to it.
Oh, that's okay.
And
okay, so this makes sense because the comparison hadn't been until now to Ark or to Minecraft or anything like that. It had been to Eve. So that's interesting. Now I'm getting a sense of exactly what kind of game this is.
Yeah.
PvP, baby.
So I definitely feel like there's an element of PvP to it, even though it wasn't implemented in the alpha. And this issue I will soon tell you how it became a bigger issue, because of course it's like kind of like an MMO. You're dropped into this open world where all the other players are. And even when I chose this spot on the little beach around this small like lake, there were 2 other players on this like same lake at different spots. And they had been playing a little bit longer than me. One of them had a rather impressive little fort. One of them had like a nice little like just like base that they were putting everything up on top of instead of just building it on the ground like I was. like they had a foundation. That's the word I was looking for.
Right.
And there was a mountain near us where if you looked up in that mountain, somebody had already built like a very impressive castle. And I'm just like,
Hell yeah.
okay, well, that person has a lot of time on their hands, apparently. And
This
I found out a little bit
this
more
kinda
about
s-
that when I went exploring up in that direction, but I'll get to that.
this sounds more kind of like Rust. Has anyone played Rust? Because I haven't.
I've watched a lot of Rust. I haven't got to play it myself.
Right. Yeah.
Another fairly good comparison for some reasons, yeah. So while he was exploring, because he was still like somewhere on the map exploring, we had formed a clan, and so we could see each other on the map wherever we were.
Right.
And he's like, I found iron, I've found this, I found that, I found a lot of it, and it is just materials that are sitting there. And I'm like, okay, okay. He's like, I think the things we're looking for are just on the ground. We just have to find them. And so it was when he was saying that he was just like, and because like the one person beat me to the mineral deposit, I'm wondering if all that stuff isn't around where we are, but the other players
Yeah.
haven't just gotten it before we could.
Yeah.
So we kept playing. He eventually made it back, and sure enough, after a little bit, we found flint nearby where we were. It just because it respawned,
Hey.
and it was like, okay, found it.
Right.
And then like an hour or two later, we found the clay we were looking for. Same thing, close to where we were. It just respawned finally. So it was just like, okay, well, we were just kind of hard stuck until the materials respawned because other players were getting it.
Yep.
But we're finally beginning to progress. We're building things. We are I'm like hunting deer and boars, trying to get animal skins to make leather and whatnot, so that we can build cords and things like that. So we can build bows to more effectively hunt and fight the things that are trying to kill us, that can in fact kill us, like the wolves or a bear. The combat, like for this style of game, very smooth. I had no problems with it, to be fair. That looked like there was like a basis that they wanted to add magic to it at some degree somewhere in there.
What the fuck?
Because they had slots on your like hotbars that were called spell slots. However,
Interesting.
like when you equip a shield, you got the shield bash spell. So
it's literally abilities. Gotcha.
yeah, but that was a little different from those were a little different from the spell slots. So there's like a bare bones for magic. I don't know if it's in the alpha. If you play enough, you can get to it. I don't know. But we're sitting here, we're figuring out things, we're making our time. There's two of us, so we're kind of poking away at it. Seaver, our friend that was playing with me, he was just like, yeah, we probably need to build some kind of base or something to like just sort our storage, because it's just kind of all over the place. And I'm like, you're probably right. I'm like, if you want to work on that, I'm gonna go like try and get us some more like leather and things like that. And he was like, okay. And he went to like expand our territory, or like put a plot down to kind of expand our building space. And he was like, oh, that's a problem. And I'm like, what's wrong? And he's like, pull out your hammer and you'll see. I'm like, okay. So I pulled out the hammer tool and then turn around, and there's the problem. Because other players had started playing in all this time. We had basically, this one plot where I had set my first plot and we'd been working in, we had been surrounded by another group of players. So we had nowhere to build on around us. So I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, well, we're not doing any expanding in this particular zone. Never really intended to, I guess, but because this was just trying to get our feet wet kind of thing. But it was just like, oh, that sucks and is potentially very annoying. especially when you get into the later, like thinking about the later aspects of the game. You want to find a good place to build your castle, build your clan's base or whatever.
Yeah.
But you also got to find a spot that a big group of players hasn't already claimed or isn't, in that situation. And I'm like, oh, that's because you can only really build.
This is sounding more and more like Eve by the moment.
Yes,
like
yes, it is.
It is no longer sounding like any of the casual survival games. This sounds like a very hardcore survival game.
Yeah, it is very much the comparison I would make, I think. When I did go exploring into those mountains where the big castle was, I did notice it was a big group of players that were playing together, because they very much made a point of they're trying to get groups of people together when they sent out alpha codes, because you were able to enter like a key phrase, and that key phrase linked you with other players so that they could invite groups at a time.
Oh.
So this was a bigger group. And I do know that the PvP was definitely turned off, if it is a thing at all, because they 100% were shooting arrows at me and it just didn't do anything. So I'm like, okay, cool. They can't do anything to me. Got it.
No, Matt just activated God mode.
So
yeah, Matt hacking in an alpha, very impressive.
I just got the skills, guys. I just got the skills. So that really, like, by the time we had gotten clay, by the time we had gotten flint, by the time we had built most of our basic building structures, and this was like 5-ish, 6 hours, I want to say, and I was just like, and then, like, all that time trying to figure out what I'm building next, hunting deer while trying to and not be completely overwhelmed by wolves or boars or whatever, because I couldn't build leather armor or decent armor to kind of keep myself alive. All I had in terms of weapon was this wooden stick that I had like sharpened into a spear with a wooden shield. Yeah, just after like those several hours, I was just kind of tired and of the game at this point, and I was just like, all right, I'm gonna step off for the evening. That's it for me. I'm gonna go to bed. And that's the last time I had a chance to play. So there, like, with as big as the map is, there is a couple nicer features, I guess. Like, if you get within the same vicinity of where you die, because when you die, you lose everything that's on you.
Obviously.
Right.
Obviously. But when you get it within the vicinity of where you died, you can basically use magic to conjure your body to you. So as long as you get within the area, you can just pull your body to you and get your stuff. So it's like,
convenient.
Okay, that's convenient. I like that. I like that feature. That's really nice. And then there's like these big like obelisks all over the map, which are meant to be like teleports, but all you can do is use a teleport ability, and it just sends you to the closest one. So that's not always the most helpful, instead of being able to just pick one to teleport to.
Right. I'm sure that's going to be absolutely changed by the time beta comes out.
Hopefully. And then again, like, there's probably like a bunch of materials that you need, because there's tons of like markers on the map for different little things that, I never got close to going that far and exploring what those were, what they did, what you could find there. Seaver found some of the like more interesting enemies in his exploring, like that were called infested something or another, or like whatever. So there's like a very interesting like core base system, but yeah, no, I feel like the Eve comparison isn't too far off with this large world that everybody's dropped into, and it kind of very much encourages banding together with some group and building in a fortress with that group and working out of that kind of thing. So yeah, it's kind of like a fantasy Eve.
Right.
And that could very much be why Seaver was so excited for it, because he did play Eve, so I can see that. It does.
That would explain.
Does play it. So yeah, maybe that's why he was so excited for it. I don't know. I will say, again, like, I'm not gonna hold a negative judgment towards it, but my experience with it was very lackluster, is what I'll say. And I'm not.
Would you say it got soured because of other players from essentially hardballing you for like a couple minutes to an hour, something like that?
I wouldn't say because of the players, because they weren't even doing it intentionally, right? They were just trying
Right.
to play the game too.
Yeah.
It was that did like have a factor to it because I couldn't
Yeah,
I
exactly.
couldn't do anything because I couldn't find stuff because other players were getting to it first, and they weren't even doing it maliciously. In fact, one of the two people that were like neighbors with me had bows and stuff, and when he saw me hunting deer, struggling chasing after a deer with my wooden stick, just caveman style, like get over here, deer! I need leather.
Yeah.
He walked up behind me, shot a couple with his bow, and then ran away so that I could collect the leather. And I was like, oh well, thanks, man. Like he was fairly, neighborly. He was very like helpful in those smaller things. So
Right.
and he told Seaver one of the materials was things you could find on the ground. So you just got to find it.
Yep.
So they tried to help. So, but it was that matter of the stuff, once it's got, you gotta wait for it to respawn. Respawn time isn't that long, but with the more players in an area, more people are vying for it. I won't say it was ruined by other players as much as just kind of the way the system is designed, I guess.
Yep.
And I will say some of the things, like for instance, you can chop down a tree for wood, or you can pick up tree branches. But the tree branches you pick up aren't always the tree branches on the ground, like graphically. Like, I see a tree branch on the ground, I walk over to it, I can't interact with it. I'm like, but why not? I walk a few more feet and there's a stick and I can pick it up and it's a tree branch. And then, clay just looks like dirt. Like, it is almost impossible to see. It's just slightly mounded up. In fact, I found the clay by accident because I was collecting reeds by the water's edge, because we needed that for something, and there happened to be clay underneath the reeds. So when I picked up the reeds and those hit boxes were gone, there was clay there now. And I was like, oh, clay, cool, I found it. I now know what it looks like. Flint looked just like regular rocks, but if you looked at them from like certain angles in the light, they kind of sparkled a little bit. So it was just like graphically not very intuitive either. So, but again, like some of these things are like alpha will be, sorted out as the game progresses, but there's still like some systems in play that make me, I was interested in this game. I will say, if I'm being harsh, I have no interest in this game now, but that's being harsh. I will say I will still be cautiously optimistic. But yeah, no, it was an interesting
experience.
Yeah, it was an interesting experience to him.
Man, if they ever do an open beta, that's gonna be interesting. Because everyone will just get into the game for free, and then chaos will ensue.
That will be interesting to see. Because it's a big map. You can fit a lot of players on it. But
yeah, so presumably,
is it server based or you just go in and you're in the game?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the advertisement campaign will shift to denote a more hardcore experience. Because I'll be honest, I completely missed the advertisement campaign on this completely. I saw the one thing at Summer's Game Fest, and then I heard Seaver talk about it, and that's it. That is the extent of my knowledge.
Same. I saw the thing at Summer Games Fest. Thought, survival, crafting survival game. I like those. I'll sign up for the alpha. And then Seaver talked about it once or twice in all of the different like survival crafting games talk we've had since then. So,
right, okay.
Because we've played a lot of survival crafts.
V Rising,
yeah, like
Our World.
I mean, and there's a lot more coming out. Like we've talked in the podcast about Power World a few times at this point.
True. You've shown a lot of interest in Enshrouded, and like Nat was saying, you two have played V Rising, so
Yeah, Enshrouded looks pretty solid. I watched quite a bit. I haven't actually got to play it myself. I have a friend that played it, so I've heard a lot of good things. I think it is an early access game right now,
yes.
and if they continue to build on it, it will be a good game. Like by full release, I think it is an okay game from what I've seen thus far. Um, V Rising has been an amazing early access period, and its official launch is, as of this recording, like a week and a half,
It's
2 weeks
very
away.
soon. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
Oh shit! Really?
yeah, and they've done amazing with that. Like they've been very on top of community interaction, community
Mhm.
engagement, adding stuff, trying to make the game more enjoyable for its players, listening to the feedback. Like V Rising has been an incredible survival craft game experience. Like from early access into full launch. Like I very much enjoyed V Rising. That's been a very fun one. So like that's the genre of the day. Like it feels like there's a new one every time I turn around. Like every time I turn around
Yeah.
or open Steam, I'll just see a new one advertised or somebody's playing a new one on Twitch or whatever. And that's not to count, all the ones that already exist that people are constantly updating and or that are constantly getting updates and doing new stuff, and then the ones that are infinitely replayable like Terraria, Minecraft, things
Right.
like that.
I mean, yeah, it's. I assume it's actually pretty easy to develop for, and people have shown an interest in it. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see like uneven spikes in certain years. Like it's case of the development of most games in general, right? A game will do well, and then a number of years later, we'll see a bunch of copycats turn up. So I wonder if we're living through that now, which I assume is the case. Less so for a game like Minecraft, because that had its copycat, quote unquote, in Terraria, and
Oh
now
yeah, dude.
these games being kind of in response to Ark, which I know is not itself a very young game, but development takes time.
Yeah, that's true. Exactly
I
right.
mean, yeah, Ark, Valheim,
Oh god, especially with the way that Valheim
Rust.
took off initially. I kind of feel like it fell off a cliff, but it certainly was all the rage for about a month.
Mm-hmm.
The combat aspect of Valheim was very fun, but it sometimes made that survival side of things a little tricky because if you could just end up in a position where, like when I was playing with Seaver and Kodak and a few others, we found a nice little zone. We built our base. We happened to build our base right next to a little dungeon that we didn't realize was there. So we were consistently getting waylaid by enemy mobs because of the proximity
Wow.
to
Ah,
So-
unfortunate.
So that sometimes became a little annoying. Um, it was one of those things like in Minecraft, you can kind of avoid a lot of the enemy mob survival sections if you just sleep through the night. I don't remember that being a feature in Valheim. It may have been. I don't know. Uh, so sometimes it just felt like a little overly frequent with some of those enemy spawns when you're just trying to build a house.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
But no, Valheim was a very fun one. I did very much enjoy that as well. The little bit I did play it, um, it's hard to really like nail down all the ones I've played because I've played so many.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, but I mean, of all the recent ones I've played, V Rising has definitely been like the standout for most enjoyable. Like they've captured the survival combat aspect, the building aspect, the upgrading. Like they've done it really well, and it's really straightforward. and the combat's fun, enjoyable, very very enjoyable solo or with a group. They've captured the vampire aesthetic of it very well too, because of how like using like drinking blood affects the character, um, and how you can and different like survival esque mechanics you can use that for. So like they really really like leaned into that vampire aesthetic, and it really worked for them too. Because like with you can drink from any humanoid enemy you encounter, or not just humanoid
Animals.
enemies. You can do it
Yeah.
from like animal enemies too. Um, Drink their blood, and it's
It'll give you
and everything has a different blood type, and then the type of blood you consume basically affects your stats. Like if you consume beast blood, you move faster. If you consume rogue type blood, you're higher crit chance. If you consume like warrior blood, you're a little tankier or whatever.
yeah.
I did not know that. That's actually genuinely a very, very cool concept.
Yeah, it is. It's a really cool concept. Then the purity of the blood will tell you like the strength of that buff. Like if you get 100% pure blood, it's the highest level buff you can get in that like blood type. So, and then they lean that into the crafting and development side, because you can build a dungeon in your castle, and if you find somebody with 100% like blood type, you can consume it there and have the buff until you have to drink somebody else's blood, because perpetual state of survival, have to drink more blood.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can capture the 100% blood type, lock them in your dungeon, and they basically become a permanent food source.
Oh.
So it very much leans into that gothic vampire like horror aspect too.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Become as bad guy.
Yeah, more or less.
In some ways, you kind of are playing the bad guy in that game.
I mean,
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, when one of the newest DLCs is literally sending Simon Belmont after you.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
You
true.
are become Dracula. Well done.
But V Rising was a very fun one. That one was one that I'll say was enjoyable and done right. So I enjoy that. I mean, I've spent the last 45 minutes talking about this alpha. Any questions y'all have for me about this alpha, or in general towards that? Otherwise, I turn to a question
I
for
do have
you
a
both.
question. What's your wish list for the beta or official release? Yep.
For Pax Day. I think the few things I can think that would help my opinion of that game is well, first off, kind of give a little bit more direction in what you're going for in those early stages, instead of just kind
Drop
of
and then figure it out yourself.
blindly picking. Yeah, blindly just crafting something to see if it's the right thing to craft next. Because I can create the anvil, I can create the basic, there are 4 different basic tool sets I need to create, but there's a chance one of those things might need something from the other one.
Right.
So, or if I make the basic leatherworking tool set, then I can make the leatherworking table. The leatherworking recipes all need things from the tailoring table, so I have to go and then make that to do actually leatherworking kind of thing. So that kind of thing, like just a little bit more direction, I guess, wouldn't hurt. And not even so much, not a checklist mission guide your hand, but just maybe just a little bit more clarity on what you're going for in that regard. Maybe some of those earlier items it wants you to make are kind of unnecessary, in terms of having to make the basic leatherworking tools to make the leatherworking tool or the leatherworking table. I mean, I get why it's a thing, but honestly, you could probably skip that and just let us make the leatherworking table. So just give us a couple basic work tables to make
Right.
and then go from there, kind of thing. That would be nice. It's hard to say exactly what I want because again, I never really did make it much
Right.
further than that early, like again, 5-6 hours. I didn't get a full taster experience of the game. I mean, I still have a couple days left with this alpha that I'm going to try and get a little bit more time in, but we'll see what happens.
You just have a little appetizer.
I get why they're doing the like world the way it is, and that's kind of something that's putting me off to the game. And there's nothing I can critique on that in regards to what I would want, because that would basically end up changing what I think they're going for, right?
Right.
Because they're very much going for that Eve
Exactly.
thing, whereas I want something a little bit more contained,
arcade, a little less
like
actual real sim.
Yeah, like Valheim, V Rising, Enshrouded, heck, Minecraft, Terraria, all of these things, if those are multiple player, you choose for them to be multiple player, you can play them single player. And then they have multiplayer servers that are like, for like V Rising has pre-established multiplayer servers you can play.
I'm learning so much about this game.
Yeah, V Rising has its own like official multiplayer servers you can play on. It has publicly made and open multiplayer servers. It has private servers. Then you can play solo worlds or just local, quote unquote, local co-op servers, which basically just means one of you hosts a server that is live as long as you're online. And things like that, that's a different style of game normally, and I feel like Pax Dei really is intentionally wanting this always open online service.
Yeah, it wants big. It wants massive guilds walking up and down, protecting their halls.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's hard to say. Like maybe the early game is just rough. Maybe if you get into the later game and some of the other things, it does pick up on the enjoyment factor. Maybe that it's just a rough start kind of thing. And then if that might be the case. I don't imagine I'll be able to find that out in any of the alphas. I probably won't learn anything like that until maybe a beta or the game goes live and I actually don't have a time limit don't have as much of a time limit to sit down and play.
And just kind of that's also another factor. Figure that out. Time limit as well. It feels like you just gotta rush through everything. Yeah. I gotta experience everything before the alpha closes. It's like, nah, bro, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah,
and that's kind of another thing. Like survival craft games, right? For me, are a very leisurely style of game. They're games I like to sit and play,
and just craft.
Kind of, zone out, brain off, music in the background, relax. Like I know Minecraft is one of my go-to games, and when I'm like just overly stressed, I'll pull open Minecraft and just mine for hours, just doing small things, working on projects or whatever. So taking them at my own pace is very much my way of playing. And if Pax Dei wants to go this route, all power to them. It just kind of means it's probably not the one for me.
Yeah, it's fair.
Right? So,
and like you said before, it's not as if you're not spoiled for choice.
Exactly.
Very much, yeah. Any other questions for me on that alpha?
That was just the one for me. The wish list.
No, because you were pretty comprehensive on your experience. So.
Yeah, I wish I had got to see if there was a magic system in the game and what that played like. There, like I said, like I saw that you could build leather armors. It looked like there were even different like types of armor sets you could build. Like I saw
heavy and medium,
typical leather armor. I saw like robes you could build. So if you wanted to go like a mage build,
oh god.
So there's a part of me that wonders if there is kind of like you can do your own build thing as you progress, because on top of like the woodworking and smithing skills that you like work up, there's like 12 different weapon classes that you also skill up as you use.
Yes.
So like swords, great swords, short spears, maces, and like only weapon I ever really got was
Spear.
the like wooden stick that I
Yeah.
sharpened into a short spear, and I did finally get a bow, but I got my short spear level up to like level 4. I
Oh,
think.
nice.
So I would like to see if there is a magic system, or if anything, what that upping the combat is like in that, and what you can actually do with that. Like I said, I don't know that I'm going to have enough time to actually experience all that. And unfortunately, I don't even know if Seaver's going to be able to get that much time in before the alpha's done because of his work schedule. So, yeah, it might be something I have to wait for the full release to really experience. We'll see. But there is things there that I'm interested in and would like to see about that. But yeah, it is one of those things. I have done what I can. I'm mostly not as focused on it anymore, but there are things that I could still be brought on board for and will keep an eye out to see, because I am interested. I did want to experience those things and never got to.
Right, yeah. There's definitely going to be a part 2 for this game, for this podcast, so yeah.
Yeah, we'll probably part 2 this, sometime after the actual official launch, and we'll get Seaver to come out here on the show.
Yeah. Yeah, we should definitely do that.
Because I bet he could probably bring a lot of thoughts to it. So yeah, just because neither of you got to play it.
I
so
tried.
just to get some.
And I kind of had a feeling of what this game was before, because of Seaver. So I hard passed on this until I got more information. Which, thank you for bringing my more information.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for. So let me put forward the question to you both, just to get a little bit more of y'all in here on this episode, I suppose. I know, Nat, you have a decent amount of experience with survival crafts because we've played a couple together. And Dalit, you've played a little bit of them, I know, because you were on the Minecraft server with us. Yeah,
I'm a very casual enjoyer of this genre.
What would you say is each of yours favorite that you've played? And as a follow-up question to that, what would you say is one you would really like to see done if it does not already exist?
Okay. I'm gonna go with the vanilla answer. I genuinely really like Minecraft. It's super simple. Like, it's super casual. It's about my speed when it comes to the genre. Not that I don't like Power World, because I literally still have it installed on my computer and I'm still playing it. But, like, mayhaps it's because of so many content creators on YouTube during the early years, or hell, even now, still play it. So there's like a sense of community about that game that games like V-Rising, Power World haven't been around long enough to foster yet. But that's currently like the goal, like the bar for casual or more arcadey survival games for me. In terms of what I would want from a survival game, well, deep down in my heart, I would say a Metal Gear one, except we saw what happens when they do that. So, as it turns out, no, I absolutely do not want that, despite Metal Gear having an inbuilt base building situation and having to balance hunger and psyche in previous games. So, I don't know. I guess maybe Pokemon, get your shit together, do a really good version. Maybe Digimon, get your shit together, beat them to it.
Yeah. Yeah. As for me, I'm gonna have to echo Dodd's first answer. It is gonna have to be Minecraft for pretty much the exact same reason he has listed, but I'm gonna add one more, and that's Minecraft is really fucking easy to mod.
Oh, I suppose there's that as well, yeah.
And yeah, there's like more or less infinite enjoyment once you add in modding to the equation. So yeah. As for what I want, well, I already gave him this answer, so it's kind of a cop-out answer, but Overlord. Fuck it. Doesn't have to be an MMO, but you know, something like that. Which is kind of what Pax Dei is sort of semi-doing.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
I will say though, when you said Overlord, my brain did not go to the anime at first. It went to the old games Overlord.
Oh, God. No, but no, I'm talking about the anime.
And I was like, well, what? And I was like, oh wait, no, he means the anime.
Yeah,
Got it
yeah,
right.
Yeah. Maybe obviously on a very much smaller scale compared to Overlord. I would also like to clarify, I said 100 jobs. It's actually like over 2,000 fucking jobs for that game. So obviously on a small scale, but essentially Overlord as like a crafting survival game doesn't have to be an MMO. But yeah, so that's kind of what Pax Dei is somewhat
I mean,
doing,
frankly,
question mark?
it's a novel idea now that you've said it. I'd be willing to bet,
Yeah.
since Arc apparently just has it down pat. If you were to take the Arc system, since that's what Power World did, and just flavor that differently, you could make a bunch of different survival games for people's tastes. Now,
Yeah.
you're never going to get so specific
Yeah.
as, like, Pax Day with, like, the various branches of the various skill sets. But just in terms
Yeah.
of set in a world, have a system for leveling up, instead of making guns, you make spells. Yeah, I think I think there's a reason why Arc is the easy ripoff here.
Mm-hmm.
I would also like to see something in that vein, kind of fantasy-esque, craft survival, but build your class the way you want to, kind of thing. With like how Pax Day is doing the several like weapons like levelings, like skills you can do like magic and then craft your spells. Yeah, that would be kind of cool to see. I agree.
That's what I want.
But Minecraft is
It
the
just
easy answer,
really
huh?
is.
Like
it's good. And
it's kind of been the gold standard for over a decade now.
More or less 10 years. Not less. It's definitely more than 10
And
years.
it's because it stayed relevant for that long that I think it is just the easy answer. Like if it was like a Rust where it has like spikes of popularity before falling into obscurity again, I don't think I think I would have just said whatever the recent one is, which would be Power World for me. But no, like yeah, Minecraft really does feel like the correct answer in this one, for at least for this group of people, for us.
Yep.
Yeah. It is one of those things, and it's also a game that's constantly being updated. Like Mojang that's the company, right? Yeah. They're constantly like trying to add things people want to that game and like little by little improve it to keep it somewhat new or somewhat fresher, adding new biomes, new mobs you can encounter.
New blocks.
Like they've done a pretty solid job of that. It took them forever to add cherry blossoms to the game, which was weird considering that's like one of the first things anybody ever modded into Minecraft. But they finally added that to the official vanilla version. So, and whether you like it vanilla or modded, I mean, Minecraft is enjoyable. I think I prefer vanilla in a lot of situations, but there are a few mods that make me really go, man, modded has its virtues. That's
I like Abyssal Craft. I'm that kind of guy.
I just really like that one mod that lets me have a disenchanter, so I can take enchantments off of things and put them on books.
Yeah, that shit's tight. I don't know why that isn't in vanilla, but
that should be in vanilla so bad. It really makes me wish that we still had that Minecraft server for Discord up and open.
Yeah,
just being able to keep it up consistently for all of us to just kind of log in and do whatever we want when we want, and then just it would be enjoyable. Maybe I can talk to Seaver about
reviving it
again. I don't know.
We'll just make another one because
yeah, like restarting my builds from the last time we had that modded server up. I had this giant like floating castle with a massive. Actually, I built like a floating castle that was like tiered, and then you went down a tier, and it was like a park that branched off into one tier was this massive nether portal, and if you went off the other branch, it went into another town. And I built it all like in the air, floating.
Yeah, that's fucking sick.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with that build, and I'm just like, oh man, I'm gonna have to remake that if I ever.
Yeah.
Next time we have like a public server, so that way, everybody, go to Matt's build, go to Matt's floating castle town. That's the meetup point.
Yeah,
there's a lot of fun mods out there. A lot of fun mod packs. So we might work on doing that sometime in the near future, getting one of those back up, because it is like Minecraft, like we've said, is one of those really enjoyable things to just sit and relax and enjoy, and do at your own leisure and own pace, and then having that sense of community in our own friend group in the Discord of being on a shared server of working and doing your own thing, and then just casually like, oh, I'm online, oh hey, so and so's online, let's see what they're doing, going over seeing what they're doing, or if people want to go tackle the in dragon, the whatever the other in-game boss they had
with a ender dragon and some fat monster. I forgot what it's called.
The Wither is what I'm thinking of.
There's also another one.
The other one, the one you're thinking of, is probably the Guardian.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that thing isn't. Oh boy, that thing is actually like terrifying to fight. But yeah. So we're running a short one this week, but it was just kind of talking about the Pax Dei Alpha and just a little bit about that genre, and it's the fact that it is an overabundant of choice for people out there now. So it's definitely one of those things. Everybody out there, I'm sure you can find some version of this genre, some iteration of this genre that you can enjoy. Whether it's as simple as Minecraft, or you want something as complex as what Pax Dei might end up being. It's out there. The options are varied. If you're a vampire nerd like me, check out V Rising. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So, any closing thoughts or comments from you guys?
Not much on my end, actually. Like I said, didn't play Pax Dei. Super casual about the survival stuff. I'm just happy that there are a bunch of them that I would enjoy playing.
We need to get you into one for a group.
Would you play Pax Dei if
No.
it officially comes out?
No.
No? Okay.
No, I'm not interested in anything that turns into a second job. A third job for me, I guess. Jesus.
Yeah, no, don't. Just making sure.
We'll find one that we all really enjoy.
I was going to say literally Minecraft, but beat me to it.
Because Minecraft's going to be a thing. I think we can confidently say Minecraft will always be a thing and will always be there. Games rarely survive as long as it has and don't continue to exist, in my experience. So, especially with the updates they constantly get, and the way they've designed that game, they don't really have to update much. They just got to keep adding new blocks and biomes, and it'll be just fine.
Quality of life stuff and new items and yada yada. Yep.
Yeah, and as modders have shown us, there's an infinite number of possibilities, and I can't imagine that they're not looking at the mods that people put out and be like, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
All right, well, as always, I thank you both for joining me, and I thank each of our listeners for hanging out and listening to us chat. You mostly just listen to me ramble about my experience with an alpha, but maybe you got into the alpha as well, and if you want to share your thoughts or opinions, do leave that in the comment section on YouTube, tweet it at us over on Twitter, or use the hashtag, it's on the screen for YouTube. Give us your thoughts, and as always, we thank you. We appreciate you sitting through, listening, and just hanging out with us. And as always, we will see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.
Take care.
Be good now.